This is Wildcat Country.
Larson tipped it. Love has it. Lewis slams it, and Arizona wins it.
The inside scoop on the Arizona Wildcats.
It's Gunnar Maldonado. He's got blockers. Touchdown, Arizona.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to bear down.
Welcome to a special edition of Wildcat Country presented by Harrah's Auction Casino. Eric Cohen, Shane Dale, and a couple of 27s. Victor Yates, long time no see, welcome to the show. And of course our buddy Barrett Baker, both wore number 27. We were just talking about it before the show after Lance Briggs. But hey, these guys are more well known than Lance Briggs, and we know that. Guys, we're so glad to have you on the show. You know what? 30-24 Arizona over Cincinnati. I said Arizona has no chance to win this game. But one guy here, Shane, you did too. Barrett, you were tentative, but one guy who always has faith is Victor Yates. Victor, I'm going to start with you. You're freestyling today. You're making videos of the final play. What's going through your mind watching Arizona go on the road and beat the number 25 team in the country?
Oh, my goodness, man. Listen, I think the biggest thing is well-deserved. You look at this football team and you look at the season that they went through, and you go back to some of them early games that were, I would say, the Achilles heel of some fans, and saying, I've seen enough. This is unacceptable. We should beat insert blah, blah, blah. And you look at these games, you go, dang, this is a possession game that goes our way. This feels really good. And they're winning on the road at Cincy. I think that's huge, man. I think that's his biggest win to date as a coach.
Barrett, let's be honest here. We were texting this week. You are Mr. Positivity when it comes to Arizona football. But even this game, you said this one's going to be tough. I mean, how shocked were you at the end result?
Tough matchup. I mean, that's all there is to it. And Las Vegas and everybody else also believed that, correct? Because we're the underdogs, 6.5 points, whatever it was going to be. We don't have Tia Savea. We're a little bit banged up. Harris is out as our linebacker. So the deck is stacked against us. But to go on the road and to be able to fight through the resiliency or fight through the tough times and show that resiliency to get through, a phenomenal start. And then all of a sudden for about 2 defensive series, it wasn't looking good. We missed the 2 field goals. The deck was just like, this isn't trending the right way. But this team, if we know nothing after 9 games, believes in each other. They believe in the coaching staff. And like Coach Tomey used to say, we don't know who, we don't know where, and we don't know when, but some Wildcat's going to make a play. And we saw that. And that's 2 weeks in a row that in the fourth quarter, when the game is on the line, the Wildcats are the team that put it together and came out on top. And it's a fantastic thing for the program. It's a great thing for the city of Tucson, and get behind this team. This team is special. Get behind them.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I mean, on Saturday, there is no excuse now. You got to show up to Arizona Stadium. We don't know the game time as of yet. We'll find out probably tomorrow morning as to when it's going to be. I hope it's not like an 8:30 game, but even still, I'm going. How can you not go? I don't have tickets to ASU yet. I'm getting my ASU I don't care what it costs. They're trying to price gouge in Tempe. I don't care. I'm going. Shane, we talked about this with Blair the other day. Is it now that Arizona's 7-3, they're guaranteed a winning season? Can you, no matter what happens against Baylor, ASU, and in the bowl game, is it a successful season for Arizona football?
Probably. If they lose their last 3, it won't feel that way at the time. But I think considering the expectations and the roster that they've had to work with, absolutely. I think the coaching was outstanding today. I'll give a lot of credit to the players too in a second. But I think Danny Gonzalez took a risk dialing up some more pressure today because I think he knew that the defensive line on their own, they just weren't going to get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They had to take that chance and trust the guys guys remaining in the secondary to make enough plays, and they did. I continue. Dalton Johnson continues to grow as my favorite current Wildcat. He was responsible for both turnovers in a way. Made the 1 interception and then had the tip drill that led to the first one, led to 10 points, which was the difference in the game. So love that guy. Third down conversions, especially late in the game, were the difference. Arizona was 8 of 16 on third downs. I think they converted 5 big ones on their final 2 possessions. Would have liked to seen one more to seal it, but the defense took care of business, fortunately. Cincinnati was 3 of 12 on third downs. They were 3 of 4 on fourth downs, but Arizona got stopped on that last one when it counted. I guess 2 ways to look at it. I mean, red zone efficiency is still an issue. Just 6 points on their first 4 trips to the red zone. That's all we'd be talking about if they had lost the game. But on their 5th trip, Noah Fafita set the all-time U of A passing touchdown record. Was awesome to see Willie Tuatama and Nick Foles give Noah props in the video after that. I thought, look, I predicted Cincinnati was going to win by 14 points and they were going to score 41. I thought Arizona was going to get carved up on the ground in this game. And in the first quarter, they did. Yeah, and it looked like it could be a really, really long day. But a ton of credit to the defense for only giving up 10 points in the final 3 quarters. They've done a great job locking down late in games. Against Kansas, they allowed 3 points in the second half. Danny Gonzalez, I thought, had a great game plan, knowing that the defensive line just on its own, they just weren't going to get the pressure that they needed. And I asked the question a couple of weeks ago, Eric, and I'll ask it again. Is there any quarterback in the Big 12 you take ahead of Noah Fafita right now? And one of them that some people might have, Brendan Sorsby, looked very average against Arizona, and certainly the Wildcat secondary has a lot to do with that. So, and the fact that, look, they weren't as efficient in the red zone. They missed a couple field goals. They should have scored more, and they still beat a ranked team on the road. To me, is a very positive sign.
We're going to play a little game here. Normally on our show, we do in our first segment a segment called Buy or Sell, which is presented by our friends at Ice Shaker. One of Victor's old teammates, Chris Gronkowski, owns Ice Shaker and does a great job with that. So, Victor, you're going to get the first question here. Buy or sell? This Arizona team seems to like each other more than any Arizona team that we've seen in a long time. Buy or sell?
That's an easy. I'm buying that, baby. Them guys, man, you just look at them on the sidelines, and like even the reference last week of Noah talking to the DC and saying, "Hey, you give me the ball back, we're gonna win this game." Like I got chills saying that now of like, "Hey, trust me, and I trust you. Give me this ball back, and I'll show you something." And you look at what they did on the road, as everyone else is saying, it really is amazing, man. Like I want to harp on not just the players, but the coaching staff, because I feel like a lot of people gave up on the coaching staff earlier this season and going, dude, we are forgetting what happens when you execute. And these guys are executing. Like to BB's point, man, when you look at what we were bringing to the table, there was grave concern. Don't get me wrong. I'm Mr. Optimistic as well. I was gravely concerned about Cincy because I'm going, dude, they just got whooped last week and now they're back home. I'm like, they're going to try to pop this top on us and, beat us by 21. But our dudes have found a rhythm now where I feel like the belief in each other is this. Whoever we line up against, we can actually beat if we do what we're supposed to do. So I'm buying.
I like that. All right, Barrett, here's your buy or sell question. We've seen Arizona go 7-3 here. You have been a big Brent Brennan proponent for a long time, for the last couple of years. Buy or sell? It's time to give Brent, Danny Gonzalez, Seth Dagey, and the other assistants an extension.
Well, I'd go back 18 months and say that's a buy, just because, to your point on the first question, when you see what the program has had to navigate through and when Coach Brennan was hired, and he would admit this, correct? The first version of our coaching staff didn't work, but there's no other way to say it. But given a little bit more time to identify where he wanted to take the program and the hires that he made, from the coordinators to bringing Coach Salavea in, and those were not easy decisions. Again, to let Coach Ciamalo go, who he'd coached with for a long time, to bring Coach Salavea in, and the pieces that he has put in place. I say it every time: Geiska Crowley and Fletcher Kelly, the scouting department behind the scenes, but when you see the chemistry and the belief in the coaching staff from the players and the players believing in each other, this is a special group. And to be able to navigate through the heart-wrenching losses that we've had, when you could easily say that we're fumble recovery away from being 8-2 or another stop, fourth down conversion against Houston, and now we're 9-1 or whatever it may be. But this is for the naysayers. What are we saying nay about at this point? That we're wearing a lay, that we're clapping too much, that we're burning a timeout here or there. I mean, what do you not like about this team and this program and the direction of it? Get on board. So what if we burn a timeout? Or we didn't burn a timeout. Like, we're a well-coached team that has 2 great coordinators steering the ship, and you got a guy that when you watch the team gravitate towards him at practice and in the locker room afterwards, all of it.
I'll tell you what, Barrett. Brent Brennan's coaching tenure, I think, was on the line when he brought out Michael Salgado Medina to do that 51-yard field goal towards the end of the game. He misses. Cincinnati takes over at the 40-yard line. There's plenty of time left. No. Shane, come on.
No.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying it is a risky. The fan base could have gone if Arizona had lost that game because a kicker who had already missed 2 field goals. You bring him out there. I actually would have gone for it on 4th and 11. So I give him credit for kicking. No. I would have. I'm going to win the game. I'm serious.
Eric, you should just stop talking. It's getting worse.
I said it at the time. I would have gone for it on 4th. I would not have brought out Salgado Medina. Got to give Brent all the credit. All right, Shane, before I get myself into more trouble talking, here's your buy or sell question. At some point between now and January, Arizona will be ranked in the AP and or coaches poll top 25. Buy or sell?
That's a great question. Oh boy. You know what? Because as of now, I'm going to, and subject to change for our next episode, which, by the way, we're going to record on Wednesday after the Arizona-UConn basketball game. As of now, I would pick Arizona to beat Baylor, which is losing as we're recording.
Getting killed.
49-20 to Utah. Now, Baylor has racked up, they just scored again, so it's 49-20. They have racked up over 500 yards of total offense, but they're still down 21. There's an outside chance that, and I don't think it's going to happen, but an outside chance that they could be ranked after this week because number 20, 21, 22, 24, and 25, I think. 5 of the bottom 6 lost, and Cincinnati was one of them, obviously. They all lost. So Arizona could sneak in. I kind of doubt it, but I think there's a chance. It's hard to say who the college – we don't know who the CFP committee has at number 26 or 27, so it's hard to say. They'll definitely get a lot more votes in the AP and coaches polls. I don't think they'll be ranked in either, but they could be ranked. But if they beat – if they're not ranked, they'll probably be just outside the top 25. And then if they beat Baylor this coming week, then a couple other teams toward the bottom probably lose, and they'll probably get in. So and that brings it to would bring an interesting possibility that, well, like I mentioned on X, is that this is the first time in 11 years that both ASU and Arizona have won at least 7 games going into their game against each other. So that it means that much more. There's also an outside chance that both teams win next week, that both teams could be ranked when they play each other, which would be only the 3rd time in the last 40 years that's happened. Not likely again, but it's a possibility.
It is likely. It is like, I mean, ASU's at Colorado, who stinks. Yeah. And Arizona is going to be favored over Baylor, who can't stop the run. So 8-3. I mean, both teams deserve to be ranked.
Possibly, it would be close, but possibly. And I want to go back to one other thing. Back to your question with Barrett. I think the biggest problem, and it is a good problem for Arizona to have going into the offseason, will be retaining Seth Doege, because he's going to be in demand, like he was last year after the job he did at Marshall. Because he's either going to be in demand possibly for a head coaching position at a group of 5 school, or an offensive coordinator position at a school that can offer him more money. So I think any contract extension that, like if Brent Brennan gets a contract extension, you got to give him some room to pay his assistants too. So I think that is the number one goal is, we don't want Noah Fafita to have to get another offensive coordinator to deal with. And hopefully he wouldn't follow Seth out of town if he left, but we'll cross the bridge when we come to it. But Brent Brennan's I don't think Brent Brennan's going anywhere. I don't think Danny Gonzalez is going anywhere. Seth Doege could be tempted, and he's just such a young hot shot that it's probably inevitable he's going to leave eventually, but hopefully they can keep him around for at least one more season.
Victor, Shane referenced Noah Fafita. We haven't talked about him yet. He has been, since I dogged him, I think in late September on Wildcat Country.
I told him you did, and that made him mad.
He has been out of this world good for the Wildcats.
Yeah.
Just your observation as a former player when you watch the job that Noah Fafita is doing, conducting this offense. Just what do you think about that?
I think to be honest, man, it's been a while since we've seen this Noah, and I say that because when he had the previous coordinator, they weren't coordinating much to set him up to be successful. And I think that's a huge part of the game that fans don't understand. And so when you watch Seth come in here and dial it up, one of the things I said early on the season, and you remember this because it's pinned on one of my tweets on X, is that the best quarterback in terms of productivity will be Noah Fafita and not the other guy in Tempe. And people were like, that's crazy. Oh, you're just trying to do Bay Rage. And I'm like, and I had a couple things going for me. And one of the things were the OC. I'm like, this OC knows it's do or die. Hey, either I'm going to be super productive or they're going to fire me because they just fired the last guy and they're taking a chance on me, right? Noah has seen his best friend go to the league as a first round draft pick. And I said this because at the time I didn't realized he had another year of eligibility. But I was like, this dude also knows that if I stink it up, I'm gonna be working at Home Depot soon, or I'm gonna be coaching. Like this football has got an expiration date if I'm not productive. And to watch him play this year, it just gives you goosebumps, man. I mean, today, to what you guys alluded to earlier on those last two drives, he threw balls and windows that weren't even windows. They were like
Peepholes.
Yes, yes, 100%. Like the one he threw to the tight end that was just on the money in traffic, and I'm like, oh my goodness! And I watch because I'm like, is he gonna catch that? Or the fourth down conversion where he throws it to Hudson, where I'm like this, I'm like, we're going for it, and they're like, it's almost like they were treating him like what's his name? Kurt Warner. They were like, hey, air this thing out because you saw it where you're like, hold on, it's 4th and 3. Why are we? Oh, we're really not running it. They're like, we're not even doing play action. We're just gonna dice you up. And he just so to watch his progressions and the way he commands the offense, it's beautiful, man. I like shout out to the coordinators and then shout out to the guys too because earlier in the season, to be honest, if you're asking me about Noah just specifically, I think he was still doing this. But if you remember, we had quite a few drops that we couldn't get over and now guys are actually catching the ball in traffic. And that's a shout out to them as well. Like they need to feel the love as well because those catches, while they look routine, those are like tough catches to do in traffic. And they make them look routine because when you're watching college football, you just get used to like the elite teams where it's like if the ball's there and it's not the guy intercepting it, you should catch it. And it's like that's not how that goes in real life. Those are hard catches. So
just to add to that, yeah, I've noticed that guys have just been better at catching the ball in general. I mean, and I wanted to mention earlier, shout out to Chris Hunter who missed the Kansas game due to injury. Mm-hmm. 2 straight plays were just that ultimately put Arizona ahead for good. The one-handed catch on 3rd down, and then like the four, like he blocked for a good 40 yards on that run by Ricino on the very next play to put Arizona ahead. So fantastic performance by him.
And I think one thing about Arizona's coaching staff that really has impressed me is their recruit, in the portal, what they were able to do. And you talk about that wide receiver group. I mean, getting Wysong, getting Spivey, getting Hudson right there, going and getting Mahdi at running back, and at Ricino obviously was last year, and Quincy Craig. I mean, these are guys that were all playing somewhere else a year ago, and it shows that these guys can evaluate talent and bring them in and fit the puzzle together and look at the offensive line. But Barrett, I want to ask you, you played defense. I want to talk about Danny Gonzalez and the job he is doing with Arizona's defense. We saw the first 2 possessions of the game. Cincinnati went right down the field and made it look easy. After that, they only scored 1 more touchdown. Your thoughts just on what you've seen from Danny Gonzalez and the effort level of this defense?
Every single coach or every defensive coach in America at the beginning of the season says we're going to play fast, we're going to play physical, we're going to get 11 guys the ball, and then it doesn't come to fruition a good majority of the time. But I'm a broken record on this, but we say it all the time. What has he been in the past? And that's indicative of the future. And he has been a fantastic coordinator. Every stop at ASU, he was a great coordinator. At San Diego State, he was a great coordinator. At New Mexico, he was a great coordinator. That's his background. He's a defensive back in college. He knows defense. And the ability to, forecast what the other team is going to do, but B, change the scheme or change the plan when necessary. And he's done this 2 weeks in a row now where perhaps, and these guys, these offensive coordinators, they're smart too. Correct. I mean, they're Division I Power 4 level coordinators, so they're not bad. So there's always a little bit of chess that's going on. But at the end of the day, it is checkmate Arizona, because he and Coach Bringale and Coach Salavea and Coach Arce and Coach Viney, like as a staff, they make those adjustments, and then the kids are also able to adjust on the fly. And okay, we lose Trey Smith, we lose Tia Savea, we lose Max Harris as our linebacker. We got Myron Robinson that's coming in today, leading the team in tackles, and he goes out. And who comes in? Jabari Mann. I mean, seriously, the productivity that we're getting from this defensive staff and the players is phenomenal. And Victor knows this because he's a defensive back. The play that we're getting out of the back five is unreal. You know, between Dansby locking things down, Shane, you talked about Dalton playing phenomenal. Traden Stukes I will tell you, is going to be a top 4 round draft pick. Genesis, obviously. I mean, this is just a fantastic group to watch play defense. And coming from the program that was based off the Desert Swarm in the mid-90s, that's very difficult in today's world with the speed on offenses and how many plays they're running with no huddles. This is a darn good defense. You know, it is a darn good defense, and I love to see it.
Shane, this is an interesting parallel. 2 years ago, Arizona was 7-3, coming off 3 straight wins, including their last one on the road, before they had a home game and then at ASU. It's the same, basically the same deal, albeit they're likely not going to be ranked going into that last home game as they were a couple years ago. Why do you think the perception about the fan support is so different now versus 2 years ago? Because it's the same thing. Okay, maybe the roster isn't as talented. You don't have the T-Mac and the Jacob Cowing, but like it's the same, like pretty much the same thing, right? Why shouldn't we all have the same enthusiasm that we had 2 years ago?
Well, I think the enthusiasm is building, but I don't think there's as much of a difference as you might think. I mean, I remember you and I were at the Utah game 2 years ago when Arizona blew Utah out of the water, and we were like both like, "Is this really happening?" It was crazy, but I don't think that was a sellout. It was a good turnout, but it wasn't quite a sellout. So, like even then, Arizona was having trouble selling out the stadium. So I think it goes beyond that. But I think it's also, I mean, this program is just it's up and down a lot more than like say the other. You know, football and men's basketball are the 2 most prominent programs for just about any university, and men's basketball has overshadowed football for the most part since Lute Olson arrived in Tucson, and I think that's kind of hard to compete with. So, I think that I'm interested to see how many people are going to be at the Baylor game. I think the fan support will come, but I think a lot of fans, they guard their hearts closely because, the team does well for a year and then they kind of come back down, and we saw that, the Mike Stoops era, how that ended. We saw in 2014, they go to the Fiesta Bowl, and then in 15, they got, Anu Solomon gets hurt, Scooby Wright gets hurt, and they're a very average team. And a couple of years ago, Jed Fish leads them to 10 wins and then he leaves. So it's really tough to build momentum. And I think fans are kind of wary of that, plus the fact that it's just, every other thing we've talked about ad nauseum as far as the stadium and the difficulties getting in and out of the stadium. And it's the way it is. But I'm hoping that, I think if they played ASU in Tucson this year, that game would be sold out. But I'm hoping that the Baylor game, it won't be sold out, but I'm hoping it will be at least the best attended game of the year.
All right, well, I'm going to give Victor and Barrett the shot here. We're going to start with Victor. I want you to give me your best sales pitch to fans who might not have bought their tickets to Arizona Baylor. Why should they show up on Saturday?
You have a chance to be part of history, and the team needs you. I'll tell you, being there for homecoming, I was extremely proud because someone said, "Oh man, it was just not that many people." I'm like, there wasn't that many people, but the people that were there were out of their minds in terms of cheering for the team. And so I say that is, dude, beating Baylor and getting to that 8th win is like an echelon. I think in terms of like records, there's less than like 20 teams in Arizona history that's gotten to 8 wins. And 8 wins sounds crazy because, like I said before, college football, you just get dumb to it and you're like, 8 wins isn't that good. And I'm like, in the grand scheme, when you're trying to win national championships, it's not. We get that. But in terms of where the program sits at, it's really good. And so I would say that to fans of like, hey, come be a part of history in Tucson and help support your team as we go for this 8th win and set ourselves up for trying to get to that 9th win.
See, I love that. You already sold me, and I have my tickets. Barrett, you and I have talked about this. With Shane, we've talked about fan support. Give me your sales pitch to anybody that's thinking about buying tickets. We don't know as of right now what time the game is going to be, but assuming it's not at the, late at night or even if it's super early, who cares? Give me your sales pitch to the fans that haven't bought tickets yet.
The emotional impact of walking out of that, which was a huge blow up helmet in 1998 as a senior, knowing that that's going to be the last time that you play at Arizona Stadium, it's a powerful thing. And Trey and Dalton and these guys that have been through the lowest of the lows and the highest of the highs, you do it for them. They've given everything to this program. The seniors that came in and took a shot on this staff and, that just came in for 1 year and are responsible for this turnaround, we owe it to them. And for the future of the program and the recruits that are going to be there, do we take football seriously in Tucson, Arizona? We owe it to them. So this is how you build a program. You show up and you support your team, win and lose, and you got to have faith. And this team deserves it. And I will say that, right? They have battled through the challenges, and where we were last year and where we are this year, the trajectory, just do it. Nike, just do it.
I just want to say this before I ask Shane a question not about football. Victor, I'm sitting here, we're doing the show, and I get a text from a friend of mine, and the text is your tweet where you're after the game, and my friend just writes, "Love this." He was a little behind. He sees your stuff. That shows the impact. You have a ton of likes on that today. It shows the impact that you've, put out there. And I hope people buy into the enthusiasm that both Victor and Barrett have for this program as former players and really embrace it and buy tickets. I mean, go click on the emails that Arizona's sending you. And if you can get a ticket deal, you got to be there. It's going to be fun. Shane, I got to ask you, while we're here, Friday night, I mean, it was unbelievable last 24 hours for Arizona athletics. Arizona UCLA, we're going to talk about this more on Wednesday. This team was down 8 in the second half. I gave up on them. Where's Jaden Bradley? Where's Koa Pete? Where's, Krivas? And look what happened. 4-point win. Just your reflections on Arizona UCLA.
Yeah, real quick. I'll get to that in just a second. I want to mention one more thing about football real quick. A quick quiz. In the last 5 games, how many times has Arizona turned the ball over? 3 times.
Wow.
3 times in the last, and 2 of those came against Colorado in a 35-point win. Go figure. So they've been taking care of the ball, and that's been massive as well. Okay. So good. The good news is I picked Arizona to lose to UCLA and lose to Cincinnati, and I, as usual, I'm wrong. The reverse jinx works. The bad news is I picked them to beat UConn. So I wish I could take that back. But yeah, look, the 4 freshmen, Pete, Burries, Aristode, and Karchinkov combined for 16 points in that game, and they won. And the freshmen are only going to get better. That is a great sign. The UCLA played its kind of the ugly kind of game that our friend Blair Willis mentioned that they wanted to play, that Mick Cronin wanted to play, and they found a way to win anyway. That's awesome. So that they're 2 games into the 6-game gauntlet, they're 2-0 in the 6-game gauntlet that in their non-conference schedule. So there's a lot of maturations going to go on between now and the end of the season, and this team is way ahead of the curve. So we'll talk more after the UConn game. I predicted them to win. I don't know if I really expect them to, other than I kind of wanted to shake things up and pick them to win. But they certainly could. I think UConn took care of BYU pretty easily.
No, they did not. It ended up being a 2-point final.
Oh, was it really? Well,
BYU came back and had a chance in the end and turned it over in the final minute. They were up. UConn was up 20 in the second half, and BYU lost. I mean, they got a bucket at the buzzer.
86-84. Okay. Well, there you go. And BYU was down a guy, too, who got arrested for the DUI a couple days ago.
And I guess lost a starter in game as well.
Wow. So well, there you go. So maybe I'll be right, but then no, I'm more likely to go 0 for 3. But no, even if they lose that game, that it's an incredible start to the season, and just knock on wood, this team stays healthy, and it could maybe they finally break through in March. But no, they got down twice. They got down double digits early. They got down 7 in the second, 8 points in the second half, and they outscored UCLA 20-8 to end the game. And I just think about what Tommy Lloyd said last season about the "so what, now what" mentality. We got punched in the mouth. So what? What are we going to do about it? And this team keeps embracing that. And Jaden Bradley is is ridiculously clutch. Like he and Del Orso are just completely different guys this year, and I love to see the development there.
All right, lightning round. One question each for Barrett and Victor, and it's both going to be the same question. Barrett, I'm going to start with you here. Which is the more likely scenario? Arizona making the Final Four in basketball, or Arizona football winning out their final 3 games?
Which is it more likely? Is that what we talked about?
Yeah, which do you think is more probable?
Well, listen, we're winning out. We are winning out in football. That's just the way it's going to be. No offense to basketball, okay? Because I could strongly believe that too. But that's the way it's going to go with this football team.
Wow. Victor, do you agree with Barrett, or are you taking basketball to the Final Four? Which is the more likely scenario to you?
Yeah, I think which is more likely, and not just because I play football, but because I know how rigorous the March Madness is with the Final Four. And I think that typically it's not about what you do now, to be honest. It's about what you do late. And that's nothing to the program, but I would say Tommy would agree to that of like, hey, these games are all like, these are fine-tuning, but where are we going to be at in like late February is going to matter more. And so where our guys are tuning at. So I would say I'm with Barrett on these last 3. Come through us, baby. Let's do it. I think that, and I say that because I know that the one game of the grave concern is obviously Tempe, because these guys are showing, if you're watching them at all, they are coached up extremely well. So, I'm like, West Virginia beat Houston.
West Virginia should have won that game today. ASU they blew it in the fourth quarter, and Rich Rod almost got out of there with a win. Almost got out. Guys, what a great impromptu show. Shane, thanks for setting it up. I want to thank
big thanks, Barrett and Victor this is last minute. I texted them and said, hey, do you guys want to do a quick pod tonight? And they're all for it. So thank you guys so much.
Glad to have you guys come on the show for a quick one. Want to thank our sponsors, as always, Harrah's Auction Casino, and of course, our friends at Ice Shaker. So for Victor Yates, Barrett Baker, Shane Dale, I'm Eric Cohen. Thanks for listening. And as always, bear down.
2 7s out, baby.
Bear down.